Вы ждали? Не знаю, ждали ли вы. Ну вот и продолжение Stanley Parable. Аж третья часть. Заводите свои лайкусы. И смотрите видео до конца. Приятного просмотра. Все криповее и криповее.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Я еще там кое-куда не ходил.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and he took the door on his left to go back. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Нет, мы пошли в лифт. Я хочу в лифт. Я не помню, что тут находится. А теперь у меня еще будет новая концовочка с ведром.
Good Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Это не то, что до этого, наверное, здесь или было.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Новая абсолютно.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
С музыкой. О!
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs.
Шо? Фу!
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Чем? Ведром? Только не ведру. Оно у меня уже как друг. Оно мне уже как кубик испортило. Нет. Мы с ним мы уже и в подсобке были.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the
Нет.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
Кого?
This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Не.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
Ты сам спасал это ведро миллион раз.
What the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Нет. Хрен тебе. Вон там дверь есть.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
О, нет. Уничтожитель ведр.
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Что дальше? О! Мы снова поменялись. Что теперь?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Я что такое помню еще даже в прошлой версии.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket.
Whiteboard ending мы нашли. Концовку с белым.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly.
Я хочу посмотреть, что с уничтожителем ведро. Ведра. Если я туда засуну все же ведро, что произойдет?
Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the...
А, так он не закидывает ведро.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it I don't know what
я
the
и
bucket
правда
destroyer will
думал,
do if
что его
it
можно
can't destroy
закинуть.
your bucket.
А он
Destroying
просто не
buckets
хочет
is
это
all
делать.
it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join?
Ладно. Значит, тут ничего нету. Нет, теперь уже на самом деле даже начинает интересно становиться, что если ведра не будет. Теперь хочу до игровой концовки дойти только с ведром.
The bucket was wrong. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed.
Понятно.
Stanley clutched the bucket
Ладно,
tightly to his
фиг с
chest
этими концовками, я
and
хочу
entered the door on his
пойти
left.
развлечься. О, тут ничего не поменялось. А, нет, поменялось. Теперь, видимо, чем больше я фигурок собираю. Погнали пока по сюжету, основному сюжету.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through
Нет,
the large door that
мы идем
read
сюда.
Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Нет.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Нет.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Нет. Нет. Ладно, да. О, дыра. Бесконечная очередная. Ладно. Алло, один. О, шо? А, нет. Подними. Все замыкается. Чин. Чин. Эти пресса вроде были в нормальной игре.
Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh no! What?
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Испугался. The Stanley Parable.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest.
Это
It was
точно
a
что-то
glorious
другое.
bucket to behold.
Истинно славное ведро. О, тут даже на русском. Ведро приглашает вас на большую выставку. Вы прошли к порогу настоящего знания, как и само ведро. Человеческий разум зачастую всего лишь пустой сосуд. Но с помощью таких средств, как эта выставка, разум наполняется смыслом и познанием. Знание о ведре и его истории — единственная непроложенная истина в приминочном мире. Возьмете ли вы с собой в внешний мир то, что узнаете здесь? Откроете ли разум тому, что может показаться сложным или даже невыносимым? Поменяете ли вы свою жизнь и жизнь своих близких после этой выставки? Или отвернетесь и будете жить как прежде, в невежестве и темноте? Да, с ведром.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Ладно. 25 ведер. Фото 25 ведер. Сразу большего количества не удалось снять никому. Фотограф на несколько недель буквально потерял дар речи. Настолько велика была его радость от снимка с таким количеством ведер. А это точно не 25. Ладно. Ведро с 2 ручками. Ведро... А зачем? Ведро представителя 2 ручками сразу же в реальной жизни такой дизайн ни разу не использовался. Его признали слишком опасным, безрассудно новаторским. Каждый год в нескольких странах казнят тех, кто пытается его реализовать. А то чё? Вот там ведро есть. Не могу его взять. Адское ведро. Репродукция адского ведра, которая так ценилась в средние века, что целые народы шли за него на войну. Люди гибли сотнями тысяч, но один факт оставался непреложенным. Ни у кого нет власти над ведром. Стресс-бакет. Аномальный. Ведро антистресс. Комментарии отсутствуют. What the fuck? Пещерный рисунок. Мы знаем, что ведра появились раньше людей, но не знаем, насколько раньше. Рисунок изображает древнего человека, который научился пользоваться ведром. По всей вероятности, ведру к этому времени уже несколько тысяч лет. Обратите внимание, как ведро позволяет себя использовать, признав человечество достойного этого.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Висящее ведро. Экспонат, символирующий неизбежную связь ведра и человека. Мы можем думать, что отлично понимаем ведро, но всегда надеемся на то, чего мы еще не осознали. И всегда к лучшему. О, нет, там дырка. А, мы не падаем. О, забирали. Мы можем забрать ведро. Только это не мое, оно не с наклейком.
Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Я не хочу.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Да будет свет.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Кстати говоря... Хуй.
But just as
Кажется,
Stanley
не
was about to
собирался
proceed
идти дальше
further
вглубь
into the mind
комплекса
control facility,
управления.
he tripped and fell over the railing
Да.
and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Значит, раньше так
Now,
нельзя
what
было?
to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning.
О, нет.
It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time. Bucket up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Чё это такое? Летающие. О, птички.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Птички. Птички.
Said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top.
Там
There's
эта
something up there I need you
статуэточка.
to do. Stanley did not question
Я туда
why or
попадал,
how this
самое
bucket was speaking to
интересное.
him. It should have
Там
alarmed
ничего
him,
не
of
было,
course,
но
because
теперь там
buckets can't
статуэточка.
talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Не смогу ничего сделать, чтобы статуэтку.
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Темную комнату. Мной управляет ведро.
Now pick up the phone. Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
Видео по обучению.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm dunny with the funny" now.
Не хочу. Нет.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed and may Earth reign supreme.
Мне кажется, мы не туда ушли. От шуток.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
О-о-о. А могу сюда пойти? Не могу. Зато я смогу, наверное, забрать статуэтку.
I can feel it.
Статуэтки нету.
I'm really going to nail the delivery.
Что-то изменилось.
Этот
Этот мир изменился. Я еще выйти не могу.
What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we have the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley. The bucket spoke? The bucket spoke? Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Так. О, кстати, время вообще уже не то, неправильное показываю. Ладно. Подожди, мы возвращаемся прям назад, то есть в мою комнату. Это куда?
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Не понял.
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. It was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door.
Она ж на меня открывается, да. Я был прав.
What? We're back at the phone already? No.
Не, все, он меня уже сюда не пустит, значит, новой концовочки не будет.
You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Ее закрыть можно?
No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you...
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
На этом моменте я активирую концовку с компьютером. А ее вы уже увидите... Что? Нет, ладно, вы увидите вот здесь. И я вообще не помню концовку с компу. Бесконечное нажатие кнопок. Нет, и мне и правда надо нажать все кнопки. Не отжимаются. Тут что-то поменяется. Они же отжимаются, я это вижу. Они же отжимаются. Типа они чуть крутятся, а потом отжимаются. Все. И это все.
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow.
А если я возьму
Very
ведро?
lucky indeed.
Мы с ведром здесь. Ладно, тут, походу, реально ничего нету. Ладно. В принципе, это было неплохое препровождение временем. Это была игра Stanley Parable. С вами был DevDipe. Или просто Dev. Игра очень интересная. Развилок еще на самом деле дофига. Ну, и я хочу с вами попрощаться, потому что это было достаточно долго. Так что... Всем приятного аппетита, кто ест. Спокойной ночи, кто уже перед сном. А я буду с вами прощаться. Пока-пока.